Hey guys, exciting day planned. I'm heading over to an expert beekeeper's apiary. It should be an amazing time. I've been a beekeeper for close to 10 years. I'm what I call a gentleman beekeeper, and I only keep less than 4 to 5 hives at a time. Today I'm taking you to see Carl Roberts in his apiary. He's an expert beekeeper, mentor, and friend. He's a keeper that does things the old-fashioned way with little to no chemicals. I've always respected what he does, and I think you will too. When beekeeping, we always wear protective clothing. That's a veil, suit, and gloves. Getting stung is never ever cool, especially when you're going into their home. The sun is out, the flowers are growing, and the bees are lively. So follow us into the hive as we review Carl's honeybees. After removing the outer cover and inner cover, Carl uses a hive tool to extract a frame. Carl then loosens the frame from the propolis, a sticky substance that bees use to keep drafts from the hive. When reviewing the status of a hive, there is a lot to look into. One of the first things you always look to find is the queen. Finding her is of utmost importance. Her health sets the tone for the future existence of a hive. Here, Carl and I recognize an unusual pattern of laying by the queen. It's usually a telltale sign that there is issue with her health. This queen may need to be removed and replaced with a brand new queen. Carl's talent for woodworking and knowledge of beekeeping enabled him to build an observation hive out of wood and plexiglass. This hive has been instrumental in the education of future beekeepers and children alike. Many local schools have taken advantage of the opportunity to observe honeybees in their natural habitat, all without the risk of getting stung. On the day we visited Carl's observation hive, we were fortunate to be able to locate the queen doing what she does best, preserving the hive and laying eggs. Amongst the heavy activity of worker bees, directly in the center, you can see the queen. When you're a beekeeper, sometimes it's about the honey and tasting the honey and giving the honey back to the bee. So today we're back ready to harvest his honey and ready for him to show us how an expert harvests his own fresh honey. We are in Carl's honey extraction room. Now this room is solely for extraction honey from the beehives, and this is truly where the fun starts.
We're looking at a frame of fully capped honey. As you can see, it's capped with wax. The bees cap it when it gets dry enough for extraction, and that's when it's ready. If you take it out too soon before it's fully capped and all, you have the possibility of it fermenting. But if it's fully capped, you can be sure that it's not going to ferment.
Right. So when we talk about bees being so incredibly intelligent for their survival, we know honey is really predominantly meant for them to survive and eat during the winter. So when they cover this open cell, they put the honey in, the moisture vacates that cell, and when it's ready to go, then it's actually edible for them and humans. Here, Carl uses an uncapping knife to remove the top of the wax capping, exposing the open cell full of fresh honey. After both sides of each frame are uncapped, it then goes into the centrifuge honey extractor for its final stage. honey extractor uses centrifugal force to remove the honey from the uncapped frames. What I love about being a beekeeper is your hands are touching everything from the beehive out. When you get the bees off of these frames, you're handling all of it through its procession to the bucket. So to Carl's point, when that bag comes out, that's ready to go. It's ready to bottle. It's ready to eat. You don't have to wait any certain amount of time frame. Your honey is edible right out of the hive. It's pretty amazing from what people think about how honey gets produced. The final filtering process removes any residual wax and enables a smooth, beautiful honey ready to be bottled. Okay, we're back from Carl Roberts' farm. We've harvested his honey. It's beautiful. It's an amazing product. You can see how beautiful it is. Has a beautiful auburn tone, but really this thing's about the taste. And I have to be honest, people need to understand that, you know, when you talk about honey, it's very similar to the grapes and wine. Different flavors of what the bees pollinate will change the flavor. But again, this is my honey for everything that I make. We've done several videos where this is the honey that I use for them. So we've done a lot of drinks. Whenever I do a simple syrup for a drink, I use honey. Whenever I use any sugars for a wing recipe, I always go to Carl's honey because I love it that much. But today is really about tasting this stuff because I want you to know what the flavor profiles are in his honey. So let's give it a taste. You can see it's a beautiful clear because again, this is a spring summer honey. So you'll have a little lighter. If this was in the fall, this would be a darker honey. Let's really taste this. Oh wow. This is such a beautiful tasting honey. Again, I'd like to think that, you know, his buckwheat and his shrubbery and thing has something to do with this, but there's no way to physically know. I can just tell you that it really tastes such a light and beautiful. So when I look at what I could utilize this honey for, this could go in standard foods when you're talking about a barbecue sauce. This could even go over in ice cream. If you were to mix this with a cinnamon and a nutmeg, maybe some clove, this would go over sweet potatoes or anything to do with the fall. I tell you, I have to be honest, you know, this on a nice biscuit in the morning or a nice, you know, a Danish or something would be unreal. No one needs any other type of sugar for this. All you really need is essentially this fresh honey. And again, we watched it. This came right out of his hives. And again, I can't say enough of how simple that is. It takes a lot of work, but this stuff tastes amazing. The floral notes are unreal. There's a butteriness to this that it's just, again, this is why it's my favorite honey. I have to say, whenever you try to do something like this honey, this moves me. I expect you to try to move other people with the things that you do. This is Gregory Shelton with Historic Living, Modern World. Cheers. Unreal.